I just wanted to share with you that From Scratch is an independent podcast that is not backed by any investors. If you do enjoy these types of inspirational stories and would like to support the podcast, I will leave a donation link somewhere above or below this video where you can make your donations discreetly and safely. If, on the other hand, you have a business and would like to advertise during one of the episodes, I have three types of sponsorship packages that basically fit any type of budget for your business. Any financial contribution is highly appreciated, and I cannot thank you enough for your continued support. But you don't have to donate in order to support the podcast. All you have to do is just simply subscribe and share it with your community so that these meaningful stories will reach a wider audience. Thank you for listening. Now let's go back to the episode. Welcome to From Scratch, where our guests talk and share their journeys of success and failures. My name is Joko. I'll be your host. And today with me I have Michaela. Now, if these stories are something that is of your interest and that inspire you, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share them with somebody to inspire their day as well. Now, Michaela, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on, by the way.
You're welcome. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so we'll see how it goes.
Before we do and jump into your business, what you do, and how you got there, I wanna first hear like a little bit of young Michaela. What was life like when you were little?
This is a lot. Can I take my headphones off?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is more comfortable. And
Okay.
now I can talk better.
Okay.
Or think better. There's a lot to talk about with my childhood if you want to know. Trying to think of how far back to go. I grew up in Plainfield and Minooka, so this area. My parents got divorced when I was in 4th grade.
Okay.
I'm the oldest of two. I have
Okay.
a brother who is 2.5 years younger than me. I don't know if I necessarily took more responsibility, but I was more aware of what was going on. When I think of my childhood, I think of my grandma's house in Plainfield because we lived there. My parents, me, my brother, we lived there for a few years. So sometimes I'll drive by and look at the house and think, oh my gosh, it's blue. It used to be white. It was good memories. We had a big
Nice.
yard and always played with the neighbors, rode bikes and stuff through the neighborhood.
Nice.
And then we moved to Joliet for a year.
Okay.
Parents got divorced, and then my mom moved to Plainfield, the house that she grew up in, and then we moved to Minooka. So I started 7th grade in Minooka and stayed there through high school. My dad moved to Sandwich, and he also got married. I have a stepsister, and then my stepbrother passed a few years ago. And he was 9 years older than me. Wow, I didn't expect to care about that.
No, that's totally understandable. I mean, loss is never easy.
Yeah. Yeah, we
you
weren't
know.
super close, but that was definitely a hard.
There have been good days.
Yeah.
What did a good day look like?
I mean, just the summers in the backyard playing with my brother, playing in the street because there wasn't a lot of traffic. Those are some of the really good memories that I have.
When you say the memories, the good memories, they come from Plainfield, grandma's
Yeah.
house.
Mm-hmm.
They were very dear to you. I can see.
Yeah.
I can tell. Tell me about them.
Well, that's even... My dad's dad died in a drunk driving accident
Okay.
when my dad was 13.
Truck, you said?
Drunk.
Oh,
he
drunk.
was the driver. He was the drunk driver.
Oh.
He drove into a Troy elementary school when my dad was 13, and so I never met him. My grandma is pretty distant but loving when you're in person.
Mhm.
I see her very rarely. She lives in northern Illinois now.
Okay.
Honestly, I think my best memories in life and the best times in my life are right now.
That's awesome. That's good.
Hopefully, I feel like I'm creating the life for my kids that I wished I had.
You're making me tear up. so-
Sorry, the opportunities, the opportunities that I wish, looking back, I had. I'm doing my best to not live vicariously through my daughter. But my goal as a mom, at least in this stage, my daughter is going to be 5 in July, is I want to introduce her to all of the activities that she is interested
Can I
in.
have one too?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm a softie myself.
My daughter has been interested in dance, and so I'm like, yes, let's get you into dance. Let's find a good dance studio. She's in tennis lessons right now, and I'm like, you got to stick with the tennis, girl. It's hard. It's a new skill.
Right.
After tennis, she's like, Mom, why is it so hard? And I was like, because you've never held a tennis racket before. That's why it's so hard. But you
And
have to
you're
keep
little
going.
too.
Yeah, she's so little. I want to see her thrive in what she's in love with and excited to do. So she's into running. I am not a runner, but my husband's a runner.
Okay.
And she's really good. Like, she ran a mile with him in like 11 minutes, I think. And he was pacing her.
What?
So she could have gone
How old is
faster. She's going to be 5.
Wow.
And it's exciting to like put opportunities in front of her. I had to beg to play soccer in first grade. And that was the one sport I did until I was in high school or middle school cheerleading, and I could like communicate and nag essentially, like, please sign me up for this.
Right.
Please, I want to do this. I want to make friends.
In retrospect, like, if it wasn't for that, then who knows what your aspirations and your,
Right.
your lessons for your children would be, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad, like, looking back, I wouldn't change that because it made me who I am.
Now, speaking of making you who you are, I know it's tough talking about the tough times, but eventually they are what shape us. What was a defining moment for you, so to say, that, like a moment that made you realize, you know what, I'll do better when I'm grown?
I think growing up essentially in poverty and seeing money mismanaged has definitely shaped me. I have seen someone with no ambition as like the person taking care of me. When she said to me, growing up, she would say a bunch of, there are lots of things she would say. But one of the things was I never wanted to be anything but a mom. And my thought was always, well, you're doing a really shitty job of it. And I graduated high school, moved in with my dad for the summer in Sandwich in their house. And it was great. And I went to Nashville for college. So
Nashville, Tennessee?
Tennessee,
Okay.
yes. My dad drove me in the Honda Civic, packed to the brim. I remember there was a moment of frustration with the passenger seat I was in. It like wouldn't go back far enough
From
to
luggage,
latch.
from like...
Yes, all of my stuff that I was bringing with me, the like little bit of furniture that I could fit in the car, and I lived in a dorm. I paid my way through college, which was a big thing, and that was not easy. I worked sometimes 3 jobs at a time while focusing on my school. So I was really, really serious in college. Like, I was not focused on making friends. Forget about the college experience. I was not looking for that. I was looking to get my degree and like be the best. That's kind of embarrassing to say because I had a lot of really great classmates who I became friends with, but my focus was not friends. It was school. And it was making something of myself because I felt like the odds were stacked against me. I was the first person in my immediate family anyway to go to college. I have an aunt who has a bachelor's degree, and my grandma was a nurse. I assume she was a bachelor's degree as well. But other than that, like, I don't know, grandparents, everybody was blue collar. And my dad went into the military, and he has worked at the post office since then. A great career at the post office in Plainfield since we moved here when I was like 4.
Okay.
But yeah, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to make something of myself. And I didn't really have much exposure to careers. Like, dad was at the post office, mom was a stay-at-home mom, Grammy was a nurse. And so when I fell in love with the Bible and Christianity in high school, I was like, can I make a job out of that? And people were like, yeah, you can go to ministry school, go to Bible college.
Right.
And so I found a liberal arts school that offered degrees in worship ministry and youth and family ministry. And I thought maybe I'd do worship ministry because like that was something that people really told me I had a good talent in, and I felt really confident in leading worship and singing. Then I realized...
So is that why you went to Nashville?
That's why I went.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the university there, they had Bible degrees. And so I was like, okay, worship ministry is one of the options. That looks good. I didn't know anything about the history of the school or the denomination, but I got there and I realized in the first week that their worship style was totally a cappella. No music, instruments. It was just singing. And that was completely shocking to me. And I was like, well, this will be interesting trying to get a degree in like the worship leading style that I had been used to in churches.
Which is?
big music show lights
Okay,
style. And
gotcha.
we're not really into that anymore, but I was at the
Gotcha.
time.
Okay.
So I shifted to youth and family ministry, and a lot my professors were amazing. I learned so much about myself and about faith in college. My brag is that I graduated with a 4.0 from college.
That is a brag.
Thank you. There was a class I took for voice. I did a voice lesson and then a recital attendance class, and it literally was a pass fail. Recital attendance, you just have to go a certain number of times, and I failed it my freshman year. So I was like, but it's 1 credit. I was like, whatever. I get to the end of my senior or my middle of my senior year, and I realize I would have a 4.0 if I didn't fail that stupid recital attendance class. So I retook it, and I went to the recitals even without taking voice lessons, just to like fix the class
Right.
and to bring my GPA back up to 4.
So you were obsessing about that.
I did. At the end, I was like, I'm not normally a perfectionist,
Uh-huh.
but to say that that I had a 4.0, it was kind of important because I had done that with all of my other classes and coursework, like Greek.
Really?
Well, yeah, it was biblical Greek, and
Yeah.
I don't speak another language. I'm just an English speaker. So to like ace but biblical
Yeah.
Greek classes, and there were a lot of other hard classes too. And my professors encouraged me to go into further education, maybe to like go for a PhD, be a professor of Bible. Like you're really good at this, and so I leaned into that. And I was at Vanderbilt Divinity School for a year for my Master's of Divinity. Through that year, a lot changed. We got engaged, my husband and I. We got engaged, and he was going into dietetics. And the course for that is you have to do this unpaid internship. Anyway, he wasn't going to be working. I was a student. So we were like, maybe I should work. He had never lived away from home. So this was new for him being
Was
an
he
adult.
also from here, or was he
Oh,
from?
he's from Nashville.
Nashville.
His
Okay.
parents grew up there, or not his parents didn't grow up there. He grew up there.
Okay.
I was like, this program really isn't for me. And I thought maybe I'd come back to it later. Spoiler alert, I'm never going back to that. I did well academically that year, but like spiritually, I felt like I was becoming a person I didn't like. It was so stressful. There were a lot of questions and tearing things down without an opportunity to build them back up. I didn't have the time or like the energy to figure out, what do I believe? If I don't believe all this, what do I
What
believe
is it,
now?
right.
I ended up working for an escape room company for a little while in their corporate office. I was just answering emails and calls, and I learned a lot about a startup because there were some really talented people training me with customer service and stuff like that. Like, it is ingrained in me. I have to answer an email within a couple
Wait, that's
hours.
still in Nashville, right?
Yeah, the escape game.
Okay.
I did a year of grad school, and then I started working for them full time.
Okay.
And I think it was just a year, actually. The year that it was our first year of marriage, so we moved into this really cheap apartment. It was $603 a month
Okay.
in Nashville. There was a bloodstain on the hall wall when we moved in. It smelled like weed at night. It was a great time. We painted all the walls. We found out when we moved out that we were not supposed to do that, but we were literally, I was 23 and he was 22 when we got married.
The worshiping part,
Yeah.
I mean, the singing, right? Like the church stuff, I'll call it.
Okay.
Where did it all begin? Like that internal like desire to go that route.
In elementary school, some of my like strong memories of the time that my parents were getting divorced was church support, actually. It was 7th grade when we moved to Minooka. I kind of like lost interest because I saw some hypocrisy. My mom would act one way at church and then another way at home. And so I lost interest. And high school, I was trying to figure out like, who are my friends? What I want to do with my life. But it was mainly like, who am I and where do I fit in? And a friend who is now one of my best friends still saw me at a choir info meeting at school. I joined choir my sophomore year, and she was like, do you want to come sit with us? And this little curly haired girl, I was like, sure. She had friends. She seemed nice. And I recognized her from the church that I didn't want to go to. Then she invited me to church. She was like, do you want to come to church with me? I think it was a Sunday night. And I felt like I had God in like the background of my mind, and I was trying to ignore God. I was thinking I could do things on my own. And that motivated me. I don't know, the whole experience with church, I felt like I had somewhere to belong and I had support. That friend's mom, we didn't directly name our daughter after her, but they have the same name.
Okay.
Whenever I was around this girl's parents, it felt like sorry,
Okay.
I had adults in my life for the first time in high school that cared about me and saw me as a person and wanted me to succeed, treated me with respect, which is part of the reason why I had decided youth and family ministry was probably a good route for me to take in college if I wanted to study Bible. It was a good background. Like I had somewhere to draw from when working with youth and teenagers because that was something I so desperately needed.
Can you give me one example of what one of the formative things that you learned from that period of time?
When I think of going to her house, we had Bible studies at this friend's house, and her mom was always there. A warm presence, joking with us, encouraging us. She would laugh with us and tell us how funny we were. She would also be there to listen and to give advice, but not when we didn't need the advice. You know, like somehow she could just tell. But then she would also like let us go play and do our thing, have sleepovers and stuff, and be goofy high school kids. I learned a lot about hospitality, maybe. I want my home to always be welcoming and to smell like bread when people come over.
That you can never go wrong with this, smell of fresh
Right.
baked bread. Did you ever see from other people what you've noticed? Like, oh, that person is doing something different. I want to become something like them. Or did you have any dreams like that?
My only childhood dream was to be a singer. And
A
it's
singer?
so funny because that is my daughter's career goal now at almost 5. Even in kindergarten, I remember that was my goal. And
That
so
is nice.
to pursue worship ministry, it kind of made sense. Yeah, that's why I went that way. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine to be an entrepreneur. Like, after I worked for the startup, the escape room company, I started instructing bar classes. And then I ended up climbing the ranks and I managed the studio for a little bit. So I was an
Nice.
instructor and the studio manager. And I saw an example of maybe how not to run a small business. But it was
Okay.
also cool to see like the freedom you have when you own your own business. You can kind of do whatever you want.
You get to win,
Yeah.
but you also get to lose on your own sometimes, which sometimes the losses suck.
Yeah.
But they are valuable lessons at the end of the day because you learn not to make that same mistake, which means you've grown not only as a person, but also your business.
I can give you a story
Yes.
of when I have grown past what I thought I could be.
Yes, please.
And that was giving birth during 2020. So the day that we found out we were having a girl, it was a 20-week ultrasound scan. We had a little gender reveal. Family and friends came over and it was so beautiful. We popped a balloon and then pink confetti flew and we were like, holy crap, we're having a girl. As a firstborn daughter with like a difficult relationship with my mom, I was really nervous about it. And then I got a call from the doctor the next day. And they said there is an anomaly with her heart. And we don't know for sure. She may have a coarctation of her aorta, which means the aorta is narrow, and she would need heart surgery. That was like so devastating because there was no actual answer. It was, we're going to have you come in for a fetal echo in 6 weeks, and then we'll go from there. Man, it is so hard when there's something out of your control. Like as a kid, there was so much out of my control. And so growing up as an adult, I've really tried to control things, like to keep things under my control as much as possible. But I learned I had to let go. So 38 weeks, the doctor was like, I can't let you go home because your blood pressure is too high. And she was born. It was relatively chill, but she had to be taken after 10 minutes of being on my chest. And one of my dreams, one of my hopes was to have a relaxing after birth experience, like just having my baby on me. But then I had to get on over to the NICU. Somebody wheeled me over to the NICU. Austin was with her the whole time. And I think both of us were kind of in shock. She's wired up with all these monitors all over her. And we couldn't pick her up. The first time I held her was 2 days later. The hardest moment of all of it was when I had to be discharged from my room. And we had to go home without our baby. and it felt like just wrong. That's the only way I can describe it. It felt wrong. We hadn't had time to really bond, and so it wasn't like I don't even know how to describe it, but it felt like I was leaving part of me there. The next day, we went back in bright and early as we could, like after sleeping for a few hours. We got back in to our house, and family had decorated with like pink stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's not even here with us. Like, she was okay, she was being monitored, and she was
Right.
gonna be fine, but there were a lot of unknowns, and she wasn't with us, and it felt just not the way it should be. But the next day we determined, I was like, I'm not going home again. Sorry, I'm not leaving. I'm not doing that drive again, that 30-minute drive home without her in the car with us. They figured out a way for us to stay in a room with her. Her heart ended up being fine.
That's good.
Which was amazing and also devastating, and it made me wonder if there were a lot of interventions for no reason. I'm finally getting
False.
past that. Yeah, like a false positive.
Mhm,
They were
mhm.
being really cautious, like overly cautious, to the point that maybe they intervened when they didn't need to, but like,
Definitely want to be on the
yeah,
overly
the
cautious
cautious
side.
side. Yeah.
What was the feeling like when you finally took her and you went home?
Yeah, so it was only 5 days in the NICU, but it felt like 5 years.
Okay.
It was amazing. I mean, amazing in the sense of like, okay, now we're where we need to be. We have our baby with us, brought her home, and then we didn't know what to do with her. We were like, okay, so now what? Like, while all of that's happening, Austin was a manager at a hospital for food service. So he was working in the peak of COVID in a hospital, really, really long days.
No fun.
I was
Yeah.
by myself with this baby who was crying all the time. My godsend mother-in-law helped me so much. She would come over a lot. And there were a few people in our lives who came over. There was one friend who came, and I was sleeping, and she just cleaned our house and brought a meal.
Really?
Yeah. It
That's
was
a
really
friend
sweet.
right there.
I know. And then we had bought a house the same year. So we were in this house, and we knew it wasn't our forever house, but it was serving its purpose. House hunting in 2022 was difficult. We had our house. We made updates to it to sell. We had an amazing realtor, and every offer we put in on other houses in the area were shot down. They were all above asking with an appraisal gap. Like,
Yep.
and so we just like for fun looked at Redfin or Zillow or something and looked up here because I grew up here. Like, we literally never ever thought we would move to Illinois again. And Austin never wanted to move away from his family. We looked at houses for fun as like a joke almost, and we realized, holy crap, we can get a really nice house for like the size house that we could only have dreamed of. Like 4 bedrooms. I mean, it's not huge, but
Right, right.
a 4-bedroom house with a great school district, sidewalks, an HOA, there's a neighborhood pool. We bought our house for less than what we sold our house for in Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really good time to sell in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all
Awesome.
worked out really well with him finding a job with Northwestern Medicine with recruiting. He made a career shift that way. And
So now you have 2 kids,
Yes.
a daughter and a son, and you're working mom from home.
yeah,
Your husband, he still works with the hospital with the recruiting or
Yes.
management.
he has an office in our basement, so he works from home and he helps. I had never planned to be a working stay-at-home mom or like whatever this is, but it's kind of like the trend. I didn't really see an example of what I wanted, so I had to figure it out. And I started baking. Should we go there?
Yes,
I
no,
started
absolutely, yeah.
We moved here. I didn't really bake much before we moved here. And then I started making bread, yeasted bread with organic flour. I kind of went pretty crunchy. Are you familiar with the term crunchy? Crunchy is like a way to describe someone who tries to be holistic and maybe avoids like medicine
Okay.
and
Okay.
like try to be organic
Right,
and
right, right.
really watching ingredients that you put on your skin and like in your body.
Health conscious.
Yes. I started baking with organic flour because I didn't want the additives, the enrichment in regular flour. Our family, all of us have a gene variation that makes it hard to synthesize folic acid into usable folate in our bodies.
Okay.
And
I have no idea what you just said.
I know
but
I'm not a science person
it
either.
sounds scientific
I'm
that
not
I
an
believe
expert.
you.
So like it's a really important nutrient,
Okay.
mineral, maybe.
Okay.
It's a nutrient. I know that much. So organic flour, organic bread was the goal. And I had a friend say, you should start sourdough. And this is in like 2022. We just moved here. And I was like, nah, that's okay. I'm good with organic bread. It's easy. I know what I'm doing. It's pretty straightforward. It doesn't take days. I don't have to feed a starter and then like take care of it. And she brought it over to my house anyway. So I had this starter and I was asking all these questions and Googling and looking up Pinterest recipes, trying to figure out what to do with this starter. I had to buy like all the gear for it, a Dutch oven to bake in because it needs steam. Like it's,
It needs special treatment, so to say.
yeah, to bake it. You can't just put it in your oven.
Okay.
If you put sourdough bread in your oven, it'll like burst and it'll probably get hard and not bake all the way inside. So you need steam. And a Dutch oven, it's like a pot with a lid. It traps the steam from the dough in
Okay.
it so that it rises well. And yeah, I invested in one of those and all the other things that you need to like put it in the fridge to cold proof, and there's a whole like process. It takes days to make sourdough.
Yep.
So I got into that. It was a hobby. I was like, this is so much fun.
So this is right
Yeah.
after your son was born, right?
It was before he was born. It was like
Before
a
he
year
was
before he
born.
was born.
Oh my goodness.
That's when I started baking.
Okay.
And I would give people, I mean, the topic would come up and I would say, do you want some starter? Like, I have some starter. I can bring it for you. It's fine. You can make your own. And I would bring bread to people and I would post about it on Instagram because that's what you do. You post about your hobbies.
Right.
And I had a handful of people tell me you should sell your bread. And I was like, no, I'm not going to ruin my hobby. I'm going to have fun with this. This is what I do. Like, I have a hobby and then I take it too far and then I make a job out of it. It was the same thing with bar. It was the same thing with like faith and the Bible. Like, I kept going and
You start monetizing and you're like,
Yes.
yeah, no.
yeah. So I was like, I'm not doing that this time. Then someone asked me, can I buy a few loaves from you for my family? Like this person that I wanted to gift bread to. I was like, okay, I don't even know how to price this. So I was like, is $8 a loaf okay? Which is underpriced, by the way. And she was like, yeah, anything. Like, that's fine. That sounds great. So I think I sold her 3 loaves. And I was pregnant at this time when I sold
Okay.
my first loaves. It was in the summer of 2023, I think.
Okay.
How would I start selling this? And so I posted in a Facebook group with all the moms of Plainfield.
Okay.
And I was like, hi, I'm a local mom who started baking sourdough with organic flour. I have 8 loaves available this day for $5 each. And they got sold really fast. And so I was like, shoot, okay. Like people were like, are you going to make more? And so then I think I had started posting on my stories on Facebook and Instagram, and I made a regular post on my feed, and people were buying my bread. So I started upping the price slowly
Of course.
because that's what you do. I mean, like people liked them, and they were like, you are also underselling yourself,
Yeah.
underpricing your product. It's really good. I was getting a lot of really good feedback. And so then I started selling more, and I would switch up the variety. I would be like a cinnamon swirl loaf, or I think it was honey oat I did towards the beginning. I bought more Dutch ovens, and I started mixing 4 loaves at a time in a big bowl instead of doing one at a time. And it slowly started to scale. People would pick up from my porch.
Wow.
I would ask them, I think at this point was when I like had come up with the system of asking what time they'd want to come pick up so that I can set it out for them like that hour. And people would prepay, I'm pretty sure, at that point, just to keep it simple. Some people left cash, I think. 8 loaves was like a big bake day for me.
I bet.
I started doing like 12 in a day, and then I would do 12 one day and then 12 the next day because people were buying. Like the demand was, it was consistently higher than what I
Right.
could produce. Throughout all this time, my stepmom had a connection with the farmer's market, and she was like, you should talk to Susie. You should reach out to her and like be at the farmer's market. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go this far with everything. Like that's a lot of investment, like a tent and tables and things, like
And you have
signage.
to pre-bake everything, make sure that
Yes.
you have the product.
Yeah, I'd have to have enough
Yeah.
to like stock a table.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking 30 loaves is a lot. So throughout all of that, he was born on November 30th. And then I took a break because of the baby. In January, I was like, I am going to start a business page on Facebook because I hadn't started a business page. Austin, my husband, was like, you should probably have a name. I didn't think I was really doing this as a business. I thought I was selling them on the side. And he was like, you should have a name. And Gallaher Sourdough, what do you think about that? Because that's our last name, Gallaher.
Mm-hmm.
I like our last name. He came up with the logo idea of like a circle, like with Gallaher on the top and sourdough on the bottom, and then like something in the middle, like wheat stalks or something. So I made something on Canva. January came around and I started using a pre-ordering platform so that people could be texted because people were asking me, let me know when you're going to have bread again. I just used my notes app in my phone to keep track of everything, and it was getting to be long, and I would have like a few people to reach out to, or I'd reach out to a few, and then when they would say yes, okay, I can't reach out to anybody else. I don't have enough bread for everyone. And so I started the pre-ordering thing. Hot Plate is the website, and it is incredible. It was designed for chefs, but now bakers have started using it.
Friendly user interface and stuff like that?
Yes, and it texts people for you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you just upload, input the amount of product you have, and then it just shoots text to people like, hey.
And then they order it.
Michaela has some new product available.
Yeah, I can set the inventory. That was the big thing. I was looking for some kind of thing to make it pretty easy, to like limit the inventory, because I couldn't text 100 people at that point and have 12 loaves and then say, sorry, actually, I'm sold out after 12. Like, good luck next time.
Right.
I have like 700 people subscribed now.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Yes, it is.
And so it sends a text out on Sunday. This is the system I have now. It texts them on Sunday, and ordering is open until Wednesday night. And then I start prepping, bake everything on Saturday, and then people can either pick up at the farmer's market or my house. And then I also have other products at the farmer's market for people to shop for if they didn't pre-order. That's where I'm at now. When I was there, it was just pre-orders from my house in the winter. And after a squirrel stole a brownie for the Super Bowl, I had realized I had to get closed containers to put their bags in.
Yeah.
And most people are ordering like multiple items at a time. So it's like a loaf of bread and cookies or a brownie. Or sometimes there are some crazy people, I love them, that will buy like 5 loaves at a time because they have big families or something's going on.
Yep.
Some people freeze them.
We freeze bread.
Okay, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The giant orders, which I love, and like I put extra care in the bags but I've realized multiple orders, you need a brown bag or something to like put your things in. And so I didn't want to just do like a plastic bag from the grocery store. And it was my father-in-law. So his dad was like, have you ever thought about like branded stickers or like a stamp or something for bags so that people have a bag with your logo on it? And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, I thought that's a little far. That's maybe not necessary.
Business related.
Yeah, like I'm okay. That's okay. And they really wanted to support me and had a bunch of ideas. And they bought me my Square reader, like the portal.
Oh, okay.
For markets. They
Yep.
were like, can we help you with something? Can we buy you something like to support you in your business? And so they did that for my first market. I had a market at Community Christian Church.
That is so nice.
It was like a big market. And I think I brought like 50 loaves. And that was like the longest day of my life with the oven on all day. It was like 3 months into being official. I got my cottage license and insurance and all of that. And I had my first market. And that night after the market, it was a whirlwind. It was so amazing. I sold out, and it was like beyond my capacity what I prepared. And so I clicked order on a bread oven. It now lets me bake 12 to 15 loaves at a time.
Wow.
That was the biggest investment, still is the biggest investment I've ever made in myself or my business, but it has catapulted me like so far because I needed that if I was going to do the farmer's market.
Yep.
I was still hand mixing most things.
Oh, wow.
Like in big tubs.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. And then later that summer, I got a big mixer, a 30 quart. So it's like this big around.
Okay.
And the bowl doesn't come out. So I have to like scrape and scrub it and like sanitize it. I was using our garage fridge for the first 6 months, year. And then I got the 1993 fridge.
Okay.
It's a year older than me. And I called it the old lady. It smelled like an old lady's house. It stopped working one night. Like as I had dough in it, I was like,
boy.
This fridge is not cold. Like I put my hand in and it was warmer than the ambient air outside.
That's not good.
So then I actually ordered a real like fridge. And that is now what's in our bakery. The bakery room, it was our dining room. It's connected to the kitchen and right next to the living room. So it's just part of our house. But the bakery has a fridge in it now.
Seeing what you have now,
Yeah.
how does it feel now? Like,
Looking back on all of the memories as a kid, in college, like being a newlywed, buying our first house, even moving here, this is the happiest and most fulfilled I've ever felt. I remember in college, there was a time I didn't know if I was going to be able to like pay for my next semester. Even if I don't complete my degree because I can't afford it financially, I know I'm in the right place right now. Like this is where I need to be, where I'm supposed to be. And I've kind of had that attitude throughout all of the different phases since then. And like mentors I've had and examples I've seen have helped me decide what it is that I want to do with my business. Like this is my second farmer's market season.
okay.
I have this customer base. They're so loyal. Still, like my capacity is pretty capped for the most part. Like there are some weeks that I could bake more, but the demand is lower just because of the seasons and
Right.
stuff. My identity is mom, baker, obviously wife.
Wife, right.
That's the first one, of course. But like I do feel like I can tell people I am a baker. I joined the Chamber of Commerce. That's really helped me feel legit because I'm like networking with people and other people are taking me seriously. Other business owners are taking me seriously, and that's crazy. I shouldn't say that's crazy. That's
Never
normal.
thought of that, right?
I know, yeah.
What are some of the lessons that you learned? Because I mean, you've had a lot of jobs throughout even college. While in college, you said you
Yeah.
had 3 jobs, I
Yeah,
believe,
at
right?
one point I had 3.
So, what are some of the lessons that you learned throughout all of those experiences? Can you give me like a few examples, a couple examples?
Yeah. When I had decided to start selling and to like make this a business,
Mm-hmm.
I was going to set boundaries for myself because I am someone who I will take it to the extreme. That's something I've learned about myself. I will burn myself out if I don't give myself rules.
Okay.
I don't like when other people give me rules, but I'll give myself rules.
Right.
And then I'll blame the rules if I have to say no to someone. But my boundaries are I have an inventory limit. I'm not going to say yes past what I have the capacity to do. And I was really good about that in the beginning. I'm not as good at it now, and I'm saying yes to more. But I think it's because my capacity has grown. I typically don't bake things that I would not enjoy eating. So, like,
Okay.
I'm picky about fruit in baked goods, so you won't really see me baking with a whole lot of fruit. I've recently ventured into blueberry,
Okay.
like blueberry muffins, and there's some blueberry bread that I do. Blueberry lavender lemon for a lavender fest that I'm
Okay.
doing. But, and people are loving it, and so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll make more. Whatever. And I actually like the blueberry muffins, which was a surprise to me. I don't have a set menu all the time because I want to be creative. And I will usually bake more often the items that sell the best and the items that people like. But I'm never going to have like my chocolate chip cookies on the menu every week. People love them, but I do not offer them every week because I will burn myself out on them.
Yeah.
The thought of scooping cookies this week, I was like, no, kill me. I am not going to scoop cookies this week. I did croissants for the last few weeks, and the croissants and I are taking a pause. Yeah, like my boundaries, I think, are one of the things I need for myself. One of the things that I'm learning now that I didn't know I needed to learn was how to balance being a mom and also working from home. Like, with Austin, he works from home, but he's in an office by himself. And we have decided that I am the primary caretaker
Okay.
because my goal wasn't to be like a full-time worker. My goal was to spend time with my kids and raise them
Right.
and be with them as much as I could before they go to school because we're doing public school. We love our schools here.
Okay.
So I've had to figure out, like, how do I balance investing in my kids and making sure that I'm present for them while also investing in myself because that's important.
How do you?
I schedule time. I work out. I go to bar still. I don't instruct. And
Okay.
I have said no to any kind of questions about would you want to be an instructor? No, I am not doing that. This is my hobby
Right.
for real this time.
Right.
Because it's fun. And like I have
Right.
community there. I have adult conversations with people and like we go out. after the kids are in bed. And then
Right.
Austin stays home while the kids are sleeping and he does whatever he wants to do.
So you have a life, right? Like,
Yeah.
so to say.
Yes, exactly. I have friends.
Yeah.
And then I also have friends whose kids are around the same ages as mine. And that's amazing because then they can play together like during the week. And my schedule right now is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and most of Thursday, I'm not baking. It is, I'm mom. I'm trying to make their summer as memorable as possible because this is my daughter's last summer before kindergarten. And then everything is crazy.
So
And
what does a
then
fun day look like with your kids?
oh my gosh. My daughter has tennis on Mondays right now. So she had an hour of tennis at 10 a.m. And I was occupying our son the whole time, trying to keep him from like running onto the court, you know?
Okay.
We went to the splash pad with a friend and her 3 kids. And then we went to Dairy Queen to get ice cream. And then we went to the Dollar Tree and shopped around and got $1.25 toys. And my son made car noises, truck noises the entire time we were walking through because he's playing with this like truck. And then she got a little whiteboard. Anyway, it was like fun shopping. It was the new Dollar Tree by our house. And so we had
Nice.
never been. It was clean. It was nice. And it was fun to shop. But that's like the summer day when I'm not working. And then when I am working, we have a babysitter most of the time now.
Okay.
But it's at our house. So there's like this whole realm of sourdough influencers online. I don't know if you know about this.
No, I have not.
Okay. There are some people who are very much like, your number one job in this life is to be a mom. And so you need to be around your kids. And if you're going to hire help, you should get like a bakery assistant. And I'm like, actually, this bakery is my outlet. I am a mom, but I am also a baker. And so I'm going to hire a babysitter who can
Right.
play with my kids. In a way, it's kind of like putting another adult in their life. It also shows them like my job is important. That's something that I'm seeing more and more, like the lessons my kids are learning from me taking my career seriously. Friday's my dough day right now. It's dough
Okay.
day where I'm mixing and shaping bread and putting them in the fridge and like preparing for the next day. And so I have a babysitter there and they're in and out of our
Right.
house, like at backyard, front yard, inside. They're in the basement. There's a little bounce house in our basement for them because I got it in the winter so that they would have something to
Absolutely.
get their energy out.
Tired themselves out.
Yeah, and then if the baby needs me for something or like he just really wants mom, I'm right there and I
Yeah.
can take a second. The whole goal for me was to be at home with my kids, and so if I kind of have the best of both worlds right now.
Is this what you thought success looks like?
I don't think I had really a concept of success since high school. I think the goal has been contentment, and I've been looking for that, and I've found it. I'm connected to my community in a way that I never thought I would be. I feel seen and loved by strangers. And to figure out that I needed a babysitter was hard, and it was letting go of control.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Lots of tears. Like, I need to put John down for a nap, but I also have to get breads out of the oven. And Austin is in the basement working, and he can come and help a little bit here and there, but like, he can't be up every hour. That's kind of how it happened. It was a lot of kids crying, bored, upset, and me feeling like stressed because I can't do it all. And I want to do it all. And I have done it all. And it's exhausting.
Since you started with baking the last few years, is it something that you see yourself doing in the future? You want to grow it? What are your aspirations now that you have this newfound love for baking?
One of the lessons I've learned is that even if I say, oh, that'll never happen right now, it may end up happening in the future because life changes, like things change. And everyone asks, a lot of people ask, is there a storefront coming? Is there like a brick and mortar bakery coming? And I've seen what that looks like and it doesn't look fun. And with the age of my kids, like I don't see that changing. I love having it in our house. It provides flexibility. I would probably expand the bakery into our living room that's connected to the bakery. And then we have a playroom we could turn into the living room. And so we've talked about that. I would need like another oven and another fridge. And I would need kids in school full time. So
Absolutely.
when John is in elementary school, maybe we'll see. I would probably open up another baking day like in the week before I ever wanted to move into like a storefront or something like that.
From all the previous experiences and lessons that you've had to go through, is there a common lesson, a common theme amongst them that kind of helped you navigate you through life?
There have definitely been seasons where I haven't been content and it's been really hard. But I guess like I've found contentment in the high points of my life is when I've been content where I was, regardless of a lot of circumstances. I think back to when I met my husband. We just met and we were just having conversations and talking, and I thought he would be really fun. And I didn't think anything would come from it. Like, we were just chatting and being friends. We went out and I was like, yes, he seems like fun. He's going to be so embarrassed. You totally need to include this though. He was like, I said, I don't need a label on this. Like, we're in college, we're having fun. You seem like fun. Like, let's just see where this goes. And in the same conversation, he says, will you be my girlfriend? And I was like, did you not hear me say I didn't need a label? I was content. I was happy. I was content and having fun.
You just ruined it.
No, and exactly. No, I was like, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? And now here we are, and it's great.
If your 5-year-old, 7-year-old self were to walk in the room, what kind of advice would you give her?
Oh my gosh. I was actually like anxious up at night thinking about this this conversation that we were going to have because I've never done anything like this. And I was thinking, whew. Can you tell I need to go to therapy? I would tell her, one, you're going to be okay. There was an adult in like 4th grade who told me, I'm so glad to have met you because you are going to do amazing things in your life. I had no idea what she meant. I thought maybe I was going to be a singer. I was going to get paid to sing, like my daughter says. This is what she meant. I'm happy. Like, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm actually fulfilled. Like, this is an amazing life. It's a suburban life. It's an entrepreneur life, but it's amazing. And so if I were to see myself, if she were to walk in, like, I would tell her, you're going to be okay and you're going to do amazing things with your life. Trust your intuition.
That's a big one.
Keep believing in yourself. And it's okay to put yourself first.
Sometimes it's hard when you don't have that emotional support from the people that you wish were giving you that emotional support, with the hope that one day you'll be like, I told you, I'll be good, right? It's the victory moment. That is something big.
Yeah, spite is a really great motivator.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for people that are also, that want to start in the baking industry? What kind of advice would you give those individuals?
People always say this, but get really good at your craft, sell to family and friends, and kind of see where it goes. Like, but start slow and make sure that you have your boundaries from the beginning so that you don't burn yourself out, because entrepreneurial minded people do that. I think you probably have, I would assume you've been there.
Burned out?
Yeah.
Many times a day.
Yeah, right? Okay. Burning a candle at both ends. Another a business owner just got a tattoo of a candle burning at both ends.
No.
She showed me, it was like her newest one. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, I really identify. That is scary.
Yes. Where can people find out more about you and your business?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Gallaher Sourdough on Facebook, and then it's Gallaher.sourdough on Instagram.
I'll put like text on the
Cool.
on screen so that, yeah.
And then the pre-ordering platform, I usually post a link to that. It's in my Instagram bio, and then I'll like post it in the comments on Facebook. I'm also at the Plainfield Farmers Market most of the time, but I post my schedule online so that people know where I am.
If anybody's in the area, they can come and find you like that.
Oh, and it'll be at Shorewood Fest, the Crossroads Fest in Shorewood. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Witches Night Out. Witches Night Out is a fundraiser in Joliet at the Jacob Henry Mansion.
Okay.
There are like thousands of people that come through. It's a 2-night thing, and I'm going to be a vendor there in October.
So cool.
I'm so excited. It's like one of those things where the tickets drop and then they sell out that day.
Okay.
And I've been a few years, so it's like a lot of fun. And now I get to be there as a vendor. I'm pumped.
Thank you so much for coming on to the show. It was a pleasure having you, and
Yeah.
I really can't wait to get an update in a couple of months, and maybe have you back on the show or something like
Oh
that,
my
where you're
gosh.
like, we have our storefront and
No way.
franchisings, this that. You never know,
Yeah, I
right?
say no now. Yeah.
If you found something inspiring in her story as well, make sure that you hit the subscribe and share it with somebody, to make their day. And I'll see everybody in the next episode.